Hello and
Hi.
welcome to today's Friday Facebook Live. Are you okay, Jeff?
I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. You're excited?
Yeah, a little bit nervous. A little bit
You'll
nervous.
be absolutely fine. You'll be absolutely fine. We've done this lots of times. And hello, Simon Dalley. He can't see the rest of us, so you'll have to excuse him. He might talk over us.
Just
Jeff,
It's
make
fine.
a change.
it will be fine. We'll manage. On today's Friday Facebook Live, we are talking about content marketing. So we've planned out this whole session. We thought, we'll talk about content marketing today. And then Simon Daly said, we didn't talk about content marketing the other day. Yeah, no, we did a few weeks ago. So today we are specifically going to talk about blogging. We'll talk about where that fits within your content marketing strategy, but we're talking about blogging as part of your content strategy, basically. So got some facts and figures for you here. The average, this is according to a report that was written this year by HubSpot. The average business that blogs on a regular basis gets 67% more leads every month. They get 55% more traffic to their website. But also 70% of customers have said that they would rather learn about a business through blogs as opposed to direct advertising or adverts that come into their feed or whatever. So if you are a small to medium business, blogging can be a really, really powerful tool. Obviously, we get that there are barriers and there are things that people say as to why they can't do it. But if done correctly, it can be really, really powerful for businesses. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So first of all, Jess, what's your name and where do you come from?
I'm on a game show. I love it. Hi.
You're not
I'm Jess
in a
Pryce.
speedboat, I'm afraid.
Oh man, I'm out. I'm gone. That's why I was here. My name's Jess, and I am the content manager at Aggressive Growth Marketing. We are based in Preston, although obviously we're all working from home at the moment. We are your full service digital marketing agency. There's a team of 7 of us. So there's myself, we have our digital marketing experts, graphic designers, account manager. We're awesome. I like what we do.
You know what though? I've met your team. Well, I've met some of your team, and you genuinely are awesome. You're all very, very nice people, and you're obviously all very good at your jobs. But besides that, you seem like a really lovely company to work with. So yeah.
Yeah. We all get on really, really well, which is awesome when you're working on projects together and there's all these different aspects that come into it, especially with some of our clients where we do full marketing for them. My input is needed for Adam to do what he needs to do, and then for Adam to do what he needs to do, Mark needs to do what he needs to do, and it's all kind of really interlinked, so we have to work quite closely together, which is quite difficult obviously when you're working remotely. So that's kind of been something we've had to really...
I mean, obviously, this is something that every agency, and I know we're going off topic here, but this is something every agency is battling with, every business is battling with at the moment, and we've been a bit the same. I mean, we did have an office, but we've always kind of worked remotely at GrowTraffic anyway, so it wasn't that big a stretch for us. We had the systems and the processes and the WhatsApp groups and everything in place to do that. But has your team, found that?
I always think of GrowTraffic as like a work from home business that has an office, whereas going into lockdown, most businesses were office-based businesses that had to figure out how to work from home.
And I think that is primarily us as well.
Office, will always be a work from home business with an office.
And that flexibility aspect of it actually has been a real eye-opener, I think, for everyone, of finding what it's like to work from home and have a bit more flexibility with it as well. And I find I write better in the morning, so I start work at 7:30 because I'm more productive at that time rather than at 5 o'clock at night when the words have gone and I'm done with it. I'm thinking about what time I can porridge in a clock. So.
No, I'm with you. I'm exactly the same. I work better in the morning, whereas Dally, you tend to work really late into the evening, whereas I'm in bed by 9 o'clock. So there's no evening for me.
I can wake up at say I can wake up at like 4 o'clock and get a really good amount of work done between 4 and 1. But once I get to early afternoon, I have a lull, I crash, and then I can work again from kind of 7:30 to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I think that flexibility is key, though, and I actually know quite a few kind of digital and creative agencies that have ditched their office altogether and will be going to this way of working. So it's interesting. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that, are we?
I went fully on a tangent.
What's your name and where do you come from, Simon Dalley?
I'm Simon Dalley. I'm one of the directors here at GrowTraffic. What do you just want my name and where I come from?
I do. I am going to ask you why you care about blogging, but I'm going to do it in a minute. So, yeah.
Shall I say where I'm actually from as well? Because although the business that I'm from is GrowTraffic, obviously, but I'm also from Exton, which is a little. Well, it's not that little anymore. It's a village outside Chorley in West Lancashire. But now I live in Bacup in Rosendale in East Lancashire, and I've probably lived here for more years than I've lived anywhere else, I think, for a long time now.
I think we're coming up to 8 years, aren't we, in this house? But again, we're not here to talk about Bacup either, so let's crack on. Well, I'm Rachel Weinhold. I'm also one of the directors at GrowTraffic. My next question to both of you is, why do you love blogging? But I'm going to answer it myself first. And the reason that I love blogging is I came into GrowTraffic working as a freelance copywriter. And I know, Jess, you've worked as a freelance copywriter before as well, haven't you? So that was my route into it. So whenever I come at SEO and kind of digital marketing, I always come at it from a copywriting background. And so blogging, writing blogs for customers was my bread and butter, and it's still one of the things that I like doing. And I now blog for, well, I don't blog as much for GrowTraffic as I should do anymore, but I blog for the
What more blogs, please, Laura?
Yeah, I do still. You see, the thing is, I don't get a lot of time anymore to write blogs.
When was the last time you wrote a blog on GrowTraffic?
Oh, for GrowTraffic, it must be last year, I think. Yeah, I've not done it for a while. Anyway, let's move on from my job. Yeah, why do you love blogging?
Not that I'm keeping track or anything. Not much anyway.
Another day
I've
on
got 97 blogs contributed to GrowTraffic.
So I love blogging because it gives me the chance to get really creative, because when I'm writing social media posts, you're always on a character count. And I love it because, you know, it's kind of short, sharp, sweet. But blogging gives me the chance to really kind of let go in my writing and kind of just go wild and write everything that I want to write, rather than thinking, oh my God, I'm not going to have enough characters for this or anything like that. And you can really go deeper on subjects that you wouldn't normally have chance to. And it depends, obviously, when you're working for an agency, you work with such a wide variety of clients. One minute I can be writing about floor glue, and the next minute I can be writing about jelly beans. Like, it's completely random. But blogging just gives you that chance to really get your personality and everything that you want to say across, and make it engaging and fun and interesting for people to read. And I know I read a lot, so I read a lot of blogs. So I want to make sure that the blogs I write are interesting for the people that would want to read them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I always say that copywriters or bloggers are really good people to have on your pub quiz team, because we know an awful lot of useless information.
I know everything there is to know about nothing.
We had a client who they did something like furnace linings for lining for furnaces, industrial use. And Tom, one of our copywriters, he was like, just waiting for somebody to ask me about furnace linings. I've got so much information in there. And you literally do collect so much stuff. But that is actually that chance to sit down. And I think particularly like with SEO, for example, if I am writing a GrowTraffic blog, sometimes I can be mulling something over in my head. Like, I've got a few blogs that I've had on the go for probably about 18 months now, but there'll be things that I'm mulling over. And actually that process of sitting down and having an hour to 2 hours to write 1,500 words really gives you the opportunity to work through something, doesn't it? And to work something out in your head. And yeah, obviously it's different sometimes if you're just kind of writing some client blogs or something. If it's just easy, you've just got to update somebody about something.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can be a real process, can't it? Kind of learning.
I remember when I started blogging, it was when I was at university, so probably 2007, 2009. And I had to do it as part of my course. So we had to do a blog for the year and blog about your journalism journey and all that kind of stuff. And the difference now to then in writing a blog is so different, because back in 2008, 2009, you didn't really think about SEO. You didn't think about all that kind of stuff that you now have to incorporate. And I found back then it was more, you were just kind of, it's like a diary, you were just blurting out all your feelings down on paper. Yeah. Whereas now I feel like it's a lot more technical and you have a lot more things that you need to be considering. And that's good, because that means that digital world has moved on and that's what it's meant to be doing. But the difference, I think, in the last 10, 11, 12 years is it's really changed a lot, the world of like content marketing and blogging and everything else, because none of that stuff was really that prominent when I was studying. So
that's interesting, Jess. So I started using blogs for SEO in about 2008. So probably around the same time as you were learning them at university or whatever. Was the period that that blogs started to be picked up by businesses and started, they were starting to be used by businesses for kind of a strategic marketing objective. Now, the reason that I originally liked blogs so much was that I could just pick a topic, pick a blog, and because, let's be honest, not a lot of people were doing it probably at the time, I could pretty much guarantee that if I was careful about how I selected something, I could make it rank at the top of Google. So that's kind of how I started working on blogs. And obviously they were always a part of GrowTraffic's kind of services. But when I first kind of set GrowTraffic off, blogging was still one of those things that you kind of, it was much more ad hoc.
It was much more separate as well, wasn't it? If we think back to when you started GrowTraffic, at the time I had a full-time job. It was a couple of years after you started GrowTraffic that I started working as a freelance copywriter, which, by the way, was also a full-time job, but not trying to do myself down. But at the time, they were really separate disciplines, weren't they? What you were doing with your GrowTraffic clients, who were SEO clients, and what I was doing with my blogging clients were really quite separate, and it happened fairly.
I mean, the blogs came on to begin with as part of kind of the GrowTraffic offering, if you like. I mean, I think you probably had your own separate clients as well, but there was certainly always an element of blogging involved in what GrowTraffic was doing, but it was only after kind of the Panda and Penguin update of Google, which was probably, I think now, 2011-12, that we shifted to make blogging more important, because all the technical things that you used to do, and all those lots of the kind of link building activities that you used to do before that have been squashed by Google at that point. So blogging then became much more important. Mm-hmm. And content marketing didn't even exist as a phrase back then. We didn't know that we were doing something called content marketing. We were just creating blogs that we thought would convert, that we thought would start to lead people through a process. We did always have that conversation about giving things away, how important it was to give things away as part of your kind of strategy to get people back to your website. But I don't think we properly thought about it strategically in that sense.
Okay, you are absolutely right, and over the course of the years, as search engines have developed, blogging specifically, content marketing generally, have become much more important to businesses and to ranking a website, because this is one of the first things that we cover on our Better Blogging course. We say, what do people do of a search engine? You ask it questions, whether you are typing it into your browser, whether you are speaking it into your phone, whether you're talking, asking your Alexa device. You ask questions of your search engines. What search engines need to be able to do is provide people with answers, and blogs are one of the best ways that a business can do that. So if we take that as kind of, that's the basic principle behind blogging for a business. What do we mean, first of all, Jess? I'm coming to you first. if somebody said to you, write me a blog, what is a blog to you? Because sometimes I think businesses get a bit confused, and what copywriters think a blog is and what a business thinks a blog is can be different. So what is a blog in your definition?
I think for me, I see it as a way to write, or trying to think. I'm better at writing than I am at speaking. So I can write you a letter and hold it up to the screen. It's a great way to, it's like I mentioned before, really, it's that way of really showing your knowledge and what you're talking about and why you are the company that these people need, why they typed that question into Google and why they should pick you over all the other ones that have come up on Google, is because this blog will tell them, and it's engaging and it's interesting and it makes them want to read on. You could write a blog that's 1,000 words, but it's boring and no one's going to sit there and read 1,000-word boring blog. It's just not going to happen. But you could write 500 words on something really engaging that they're genuinely interested in, and it makes a difference. So for me, I think it is that making a difference thing. It's that, okay, well, I like your social media, I like the look of your website, I'll click through, oh, they've answered all my questions on this blog, right, this is who I'm going to go to.
Yeah,
so
I think sometimes that you're absolutely right. Defining what a blog is really, really hard. Sometimes I find it better to define what a blog isn't. So a blog is not a really technical piece of content. It's not like 3,000 words of really in-depth product description or whatever. It's just a kind of casual piece. It's going to engage the reader. It's going to probably be the first point of contact, maybe besides the social media. You know, they found you on social, they've maybe clicked through. The blog is going to be the first impression that they're getting of your company. So it needs to be sort of conversational, a little bit informal. Like you say, this is one of the things I'm always saying, you know, if people say, oh, I hate writing blogs, it's really boring. Well, don't do it then, because if you're bored writing it, somebody's going to be bored reading it. And boring blogs, you might as well throw your money down the drain, so don't bother.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with with all of what you just said there, Rachel. I think
that's
that a blog can be a 3,000, 6,000 word, really in-depth technical piece if that is what the audience wants and needs. A blog is just I can't even think what blog is short for now. It's obviously
weblog.
Weblog, that's it. Weblog, yes, weblog.
I did not know that.
It's just weblog. It's just an entry, isn't it? It's like a diary entry. It's a post. It is whatever it needs to be, and that, you know, like you say, it could be as short as a paragraph, you know, a paragraph of text, if that is what is required of it, or it could be a bit of text around an embedded video, or it could be, you know, there's any number of different kind of combinations, but crucially, it needs to. No, I mean, a blog in its own right doesn't need to do anything. It needs to do what the author and writer needs to do. And I think one of the things that I always find difficult is when people confuse or conflate blogging with content marketing. So, and I'm sure that you're going to come on to this, Rachel, but the two things are, blogging is a tactic that's part of content marketing, but not every blog is a piece of strategic marketing output.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, and that's one of the reasons why it is so difficult to either sell it or teach it to people, because you're absolutely right. You know, a blog could be 200 words, it could be 2,000 words, it could be a diary entry, it could be a piece talking about a specific product, it could be talking about exactly. It can be inward facing, it can be outward facing. There's so many different things about what a blog is. So in that case, because what you were saying there, Dalley, and I want to unpick this a little bit, you were saying about it needs to do what the person who's blogging needs it to do, and it needs to do what the audience, what the consumer needs it to do. What do you mean by that?
So if somebody is asking a question, for example, and they're looking for an answer, the answer might take 3,000 words, and it might need to be really in depth, and have lots of kind of technical specifications and all the rest of it in it, or it might only need to be a paragraph. And so that, or it might need to be, it might just need to have an embedded video in it, or whatever it is. It needs to do what the audience need it to do. So it's as valid to have a blog that's a couple of hundred words long as it is 1,000 or 3,000 or 6,000 or whatever.
The thing with word count, I find as well. Sorry, Simon. The thing with word count was just that I find it difficult sometimes if someone says, right, I need 1,000-word blog. But the way I think blogging should be is you write however long it needs to be. So you can't just say something needs to be 1,000 words. If you think to get that content across properly, it could be 1,500 words, or you think you could write 500 words, absolutely nail it, and the next 500 could just be a waste of everyone's time reading it and writing it. I think it should be what that topic needs rather than a set. And people get into their heads that they need, I need to write 1,000 words. Well, you don't. You need to write what you think. Basically, write it and then see what the word count is when you get to the end. Basically, I think that's.
Yeah, we always say.
About 3 years ago, I did some research into this. There's a 6,000 word blog post on GrowTraffic all about this, but it reviews word counts, and it looks at different sectors. And what I found was part of the issue with word count, and this is where kind of marketers have got confused over the years, is that a lot of it depends on what your competition's doing as well. So, or did. I'm going to say did here. So it did depend on that. But obviously, we've had a load of updates recently, and the most recent update about kind of indexing passages makes word count completely obsolete anyway.
I think as well, there's always, there's so many things, and this is it. We always say with our blogs, just so that we can give a guide price on them, that they're 800 to 1,000 words. And you're absolutely right, Jess. Sometimes we will have 600-700 words. Sometimes we'll go to 1,500 over the course of a contract. A client will get, roughly an average amount of words. But again, it's one of those very strange benchmarks that I find that people put on it when they say we want 1,000 words or whatever. And you're like, well, like Dalley was saying before, there are so many things that go into that. What answer is the customer needing? And what you're trying to get at there is what point, at what stage in the marketing funnel are they asking the question, and how much information do they need? If this is the first time they've met you and you're presenting them with a massive, long, in-depth blog, that's probably going to be a bit too much. You need to kind of ease them in. Here's a little bit of interesting content. Do you want to find out more? Go to this slightly more in-depth piece of content. So there's that element to it. But you're absolutely right. How often are you publishing your blog posts? How often are your competition publishing your blog posts? What's the average for your industry? I know from that blog you were talking about, Dalley, that marketing and SEO have a much higher word count on average for their blogs than other industries. Yeah,
when I did it, so I did this research, it took quite a while actually, but I did it about 3 years ago now. And if I remember rightly, our industry, the SEO industry, you wanted to kind of guarantee your blog would rank in the top 3 or 4 from a word count perspective. You wanted to be writing about 4,000 words per blog. Whereas the construction industry, when I'd previously worked in the kind of construction industry, marketing in the construction industry, and you could get away with with writing things that were more like 300 words. Every post could just be 300 words, and you'd rank because there was that lack of competition there. But like I say, it's changed now. And the 1,000 words thing, everybody's got that in their mind because there's so much kind of content out there about having to write 1,000 words. That's like best practice for blogging. But actually, that's a metric from something like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
If you look at the updated content, I'm sure like the average blog post should now be more like 1,700 words. But like I say, that was maybe 6 months ago. Now it's obsolete again.
Well, this is it, because we're
changing the world of digital marketing.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is constantly changing. And the other thing now is that because we, you know, we have things like voice search, we have things like Alexa just wants a short answer, you know, snippets, rich snippets, Google with the knowledge graph, you know, there's even arguments that you can do it with really tiny word counts now, and the rest of the 1,500 word count is now completely obsolete. But I don't want us to spend the entire session talking about word count, although I'm sure we probably could. What I would like us to come on to is, what are the benefits for your average small to medium business in blogging? Now, Dally, I'm going to come on to you in a minute and ask you about the SEO benefits. So, Jess, what are just the general benefits? How can blogging help a business?
Well, there's quite a few, really. There's that personality aspect. If you are a small business, then you're more likely to have that kind of small brand personality in it. If it's a one-man band, and it kind of, I mean, I'm passionate about personality in writing. I'm very much kind of, I hate robotic writing. And I love it when I read a piece of writing that you genuinely feel like you know the person who's written it. And for the kind of smaller businesses, this is a real opportunity for them to get that across, and to kind of show their skills and experience and their knowledge, and talk about topics that their audience are really interested in. And there's that whole social listening thing comes into play as well. It's really kind of listening to what and watching what your audience are talking about, and wondering how you can then get and be a part of that conversation, because you could write a blog about something that's incredibly interesting, but your audience might not be talking about that right now. For example, I don't know, if you were a bakery and it's Great British Bake Off time, then that's the conversations that are going on, and how can you kind of use that, but not be like everyone else? How can you use a popular topic, popular culture, but make it your own and make it interesting? I think that's when it can be really, really useful for people. And I think people put a lot of pressure on themselves. They go, oh, I'm rubbish at writing, can't write. And I think sometimes if you just kind of write without thinking, right, I'm going to publish this blog, you're just writing, that tends to be better content than putting this pressure on yourself to go, I must write a blog, I must post this, I must do that, I must do that. Just write what you want to write. For me, this is for someone who's very new to blogging. Obviously, when you're working for an agency or when you're more experienced, there's a whole different way of working. But someone who's very new, people who come on your blogging courses, for instance, the benefits of just sitting down and writing, and then seeing if you're happy with it. If not, try again, and that kind of stuff. So I went off a bit of a tangent there as well.
Yeah, no, but you're absolutely right. And this is one of the things that I always say is, don't overthink it, just do it. I mean, there is so much content out there. And when I look back on blogs that I wrote, because they're still on the GrowTraffic website from like 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, they're bloody awful. But it doesn't matter. It's fine. Just start writing. Just start getting it out there. If you absolutely, genuinely hate it, you hate writing, maybe you've got dyslexia or something, then can you make a video blog, a vlog? Can you do it? Can you do a pictorial blog and just put a few, a bit of there's got to be a way of creating content that you enjoy doing. So don't overthink it and just get it out there. But I want to pick up as well on one thing you just said, Jess, about that. Again, we're back to the don't make it boring, but having a bit of personality. Because I audit websites quite often, and we always look at what type of content are the competition producing and what are they doing. And read all these blogs, and they're so dull, deadly dull. And I mean, even if you are writing about a fairly dull subject, just write it as though you were speaking it. Have a little bit of personality in your voice. Make a human connection.
I write content. I write blogs actually for an IT company, and in theory, IT isn't everyone's kind of reading material, is it? But I love writing those blogs because the client, they might watch it, they might not, but they let me have free reign. So the personality and everything else that comes across in those blogs, and I actually genuinely really enjoy writing them because I don't feel like I'm sat there talking about security systems and passwords. I can kind of just get a little bit creative with it, and that makes it, and I think that they rank higher because people want to read them.
Yeah, and people want to come back. I have a friend who's a chiropractor, and he writes blogs about chiropractic, obviously. But he gets really funny photos. I don't know if he gets his girlfriend or his mum or whatever to take pictures of it. But he puts really funny captions. Yeah, Joseph, he puts really funny captions on, and he's in silly poses or whatever, and he's obviously tongue in cheek and he's having a laugh. And I'm not a chiropractor. I'll read, I'm interested in some of his blogs, but not all of them. I'll always read them because I want to see what he's doing on his photographs. And
it's people buy from people, don't they?
Exactly. Yeah. Have a little bit of quirkiness, put your personality across, and it does make a massive difference. Yeah. So Simon Dalley, go on.
I think that's really important for a small business as well, is that if you're a small business, you've got that opportunity to really get that people buy from people aspect across. And I know, like, I've met you a couple of years ago at networking, and we've stayed in touch and we've worked on different things together. And I know GrowTraffic not as an SEO company, I know it as you guys, and I've met you, and and you're really quirky, interesting people, and that's that. Yeah, you are. Throwing compliments at you now. I just think that's really more in it's that opportunity, isn't it?
And absolutely that, and this is another thing. Potential customers, they might be following you, on the periphery. They might be coming back, reading your blog for sometimes years, with the Seroptimist, for example. Hannah always shouts at me because I get the Seroptimist into everything. But we have people that might just watch us a bit on social media, read the odd blog post for 2-3 years before they make a decision to come to a meeting. That buyer journey can be that long, but you're keeping people engaged, and all the time you're educating them about what kind of business you are and whether or not you're nice people and you're trustworthy. And it can even come down to as little, if you've got a dog and somebody else has got a dog and they think, oh, they're my kind of people, they're dog people, I know I can get on with them. So yeah, absolutely, those are the benefits. Simon Dalley, do you want to give us the benefits of blogging from an SEO perspective?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just having a look at when the last time you blogged was.
All right, yeah, go on. So you can shame me.
Shaming you. March 2019.
That's actually not as bad as I thought it was. Was that International Women's Day? I think that was the last blog I wrote, was an International Women's Day blog.
Oh, no, I'm wrong. Sorry. September 2019.
All right,
it's not even a year.
I think you've got someone to write that for you.
Yeah, the cheek. Anyway, go on. No swearing in it.
Well, sorry?
Is that because there's no swearing in it? You think
there's no swearing in it? Yeah, it's like a proper blog post. But going back to what you were saying a minute ago about the long-term benefits of it, I'm looking at things that you wrote. So your first blog post was the 30th of January 2014, and that's still getting traffic this year. So it is still, the longevity of blog posts is one of the big advantages. I always talk about the compounding effect of kind of content. I just want to hit the benefits to a kind of business owner. One of the other things that I would say is just how easy it is for most business owners to do. How it's their time. Marketing is it's a costly kind of endeavor. Let's not have any, let's not say it's not, because it is. It costs a lot of money, but blogging is something that most business owners can do with their own time. And when you're starting out, at least, that's a really valuable thing to think about. What can you do that doesn't cost you a lot of money? And it's one of those tactics. I think also I'm in a really fortunate position as one of the owners of GrowTraffic, in that we've got members of a team that all get involved in blogging, and everyone else kind of puts together a lot of the utilitarian kind of content now, the evergreen content that tips things in. And that kind of liberates me a little bit to create content that is more like a traditional blog. It's more like my thoughts and opinions and feelings about different topics, what it's like and all those things. So I think there's a kind of cathartic process that you can go through when you're writing a blog. I think you've all said it before. It's how you get your thoughts down on paper and work things out.
I think well, you know, besides that kind of cathartic element, sometimes just having a couple, you know, if you block out 2 hours in your diary, say it's like Friday afternoon, right, in your blog is your thing that you do on a Friday afternoon, it's quite peaceful. You know, I turn the phone off, I focus on one thing, I get to just sit there and write about something. It's actually quite an enjoyable process to me. That's not got, you know, the phone's constantly ringing, or you're constantly checking your emails and flitting from one thing to something else. You just get to concentrate on something. So I quite like it from that angle as well. Anyway, carry on, Sam.
Yeah. Although I think I've been doing it for so long, and I've produced so many blogs over the years that it's nice to be able to not, you know, almost not write one for the marketing kind of process. So that's something else that I enjoy with our posts. I don't know, Jess, have you ever tried to add up how many blogs you've ever written?
No, I'd be intrigued to know actually, because probably quite a lot actually.
Not quite. I remember when I was doing my dissertation, and my final dissertation for uni was 10,000 words, and I remember thinking, nobody can write 10,000 words. That's just ridiculous. How can anyone write that? And now you think I probably
Do it in a week.
I think that I've written somewhere. I think that I've written somewhere in the kind of region of about 4,000 to 5,000 posts.
Wow.
On loads of different websites over the years.
Yeah.
And maybe more, but certainly I reckon it probably in that region. And when you think about how that has affected businesses that you work with, how I love being able to put little bits of kind of controversy or little bits of insight into there that obscure little things. I went through a phase of littering blog posts with a kind of call to arms to create a model village in Saddleworth Moors. Right. So just little things like that really kind of amuse me as well.
Okay, right. Time is marching on, Simon Dalley. You've spent 5 minutes telling us about how many blogs you've written. I want a very, very quick answer about why blogging helps SEO, because we've got lots to talk about yet.
What? Just about my blogging experience.
I know. Come on.
Okay, let me try. Blogging. What's the benefit of blogging for SEO? So it increases the relevancy of your website. So it layers up the different. It kind of creates a topical relevancy to the website. Focus on the thing that your business does, and that means that over time you'll be seen as more of an authority, which will help you rank better, especially if you are adding internal links that use specific anchor text back to the services pages that you want to rank for the more generic keywords. And it also helps to attract organic links. It means that you can share it on things like social media, so you get all the different signals. You get people reading your website, so you get all the user signals. I think those are the main benefits, aren't they?
The main benefits. And I mean, just you gave a very, very accurate SEO answer there, but just to sort of translate that for business owners that aren't sort of in the SEO world, it can become as simple as, if you're trying to rank for a keyword and Google has a website that has 3 pages about that keyword, and then it's got a website that has 30 pages about that keyword, going back several years with new content being added on a regular basis, you know, this is going to be the website that provides a more valuable resource to the person, the end user, the person doing the search. That's why it helps you. You've got more authority, you've got more content. You're just proving time and time again that this is my industry, this is my business, this is what we do day in, day out. And so that's how it kind of helps. I want us to move on. So,
I do think that it's a bit too easy sometimes to create a blog post, and I do think that there's a lot of crap out there. There's a lot of rubbish on the internet about that's put out by people, and I think that we are rapidly approaching some kind of content crunch where it really won't be as beneficial to put out, just reams and reams of content on the internet.
But you have been saying that for 2 years now.
It's slowly but surely happening. I'm confident it will happen.
You're confident. You're going to keep saying it until you prove it.
I don't think that there'll ever be a time where you'll stop doing it. There can't
ever be a time where it stops, because we come back to the fundamental purpose of a search engine is to provide answers to the questions people are asking. And so, content is always going to be required, isn't it?
I think yes and no. I think there's always going to be a place for it, but it might slowly over time get to the point where smaller businesses will decide there's no ROI for them in putting so much effort into it, so that
that's probably quite a way off yet, isn't it?
Well, I think it's going to depend on everyone's industry, and looking back kind of 13, 14 years ago, when you put out a blog post, it worked. It attracted traffic and it converted. Now you have to put out such a volume. You have to put out, you're going to really understand the buyer journey and the sales funnel. And, a lot of businesses really don't have that, probably won't be able to do that.
Okay, well, thank you to welcome to our Facebook Live, trying to convince small businesses that blogging is the way forward. Simon Dalley's just talked you all out of it. It's all going to be pointless by next year. Don't bloody bother.
Core values, open, honest.
Okay.
Right,
moving on. This is not the Simon Dalley show. You've just taken
integrity.
Time wittering on your musings. Shut up.
Isn't the Simon Dalley show?
No, it isn't. No. Anyway,
what am I doing here? This was all the Simon Dalley show.
Speedboat right now. Where's my speedboat?
What am I doing here? It's a question we're all asking ourselves. I have one question before I go to my kind of final rounds of questions, and that is, what should small to medium businesses be blogging about? And Jess, I'm going to give you a chance to speak first here. So we always say about, write a blog, and people are always saying that the first kind of pushback you get from clients is, I don't know what to write about. What should I be blogging about? So what do you think, Jess?
So I love a brainstorm anyway. So me and the guys at work, we get together, or virtually at the moment, we get together on Slack, and we literally just have a brainstorm. And it's always a good idea to go really wild with your ideas, and then I normally get told to rein it back in and a bit further and a bit further. I'm like flying over there with a unicorn somewhere. Kind of literally just do a spider diagram to get started. When I did that content calendar video a few months ago, way back at the beginning of lockdown, we were talking about things like, what's going on in the industry. Are your audience talking about something that you've got a point of view or opinion on, and that could add value to your audience as well? Because you don't want to be repeating what other people are saying. You want to add value to them, and that is one of the main purposes of a blog as well, is to add value and to give them information they might not already know, or a different perspective on something that they might not be aware of. So it's keeping an eye on the industry, keeping an eye on what are you doing in the business as well. Sometimes we interview some of the guys in our office and kind of get a deeper insight into what exactly they do for a job. What are the technical aspects? Trying to think. So on our graphic design one, Adam was talking about some of the programs that he uses and why they're the best programs to use for graphic design and things like that. Mm-hmm.
It's that wide range, isn't it? Of you want to be writing about, yes, you want to be writing about your company, as we've already said. You need to be providing more information, more insight onto how you work and what you do. But again, it's those, answering the questions that people are asking, and you can find there are multiple ways of finding this. Hang around in Facebook groups, talk to your customers. We're always saying, if you've been asked the same question 5 times this week, you probably need a blog about it. It's about absolutely brainstorm, and you need things that are about your industry, about your products and services, about your customers. Those are great blogs as well, because if you did, say, a case study, it serves multiple purposes. One thing, it shows what you can do as a business, how you can problem solve. It also gives people, if they can see themselves in that client, they're kind of another step. They're like, oh yeah, that is us. Actually, we're in that situation. This is company for us. But also, if you're writing blogs about people, they will give you a backlink, they'll share it on their social media, so it is absolutely looking at it from that holistic point of view. And when you actually start writing it down, there are hundreds of things, aren't there? When people come to me and say like, oh, I don't know what to blog about, I'm like, how? I could think of 10 things in the next 5 minutes. How can you not do it?
Yeah, and once you start, you literally, the ideas, once you write one blog, someone might ask you a question from that blog that then gives you your next idea for the next blog from there. And I come up with blog ideas for clients all the time, just from watching TV. If I notice something on TV or in an ad break, and I'm like, oh, that'd be really interesting for that client, or our WhatsApp work chat is full of us all sending random Facebook links and websites to each other, because you just make a note of it. I got notes in my phone of things like, oh, that'd be really interesting for work, or oh, I should send that about that client, and things like that, because you don't have to have all the answers straight away. You kind of figure it out along the way, I find. Especially, like I say, if you're not an expert, then you're not going to know how to blog expertly, are you? You're not going to know how to find all the answers. So it is a real learning curve.
That point that you made, though, about once you start doing it and you start looking for things to blog about, I mean, we have this with clients. We have WhatsApp groups with some of our clients, and they'll start off with, oh, I don't know. And then after a few weeks of this seeing what we're doing, they'll start sending us like, articles that they've read or things that they've seen on Facebook. Like, could we do a blog about this? Could we do a blog about that? You're like, brilliant. Yeah, it starts to come, doesn't it? Yeah. Simon Dalley, very quickly, because we haven't got long. How do you choose blog titles? Because you come at it from a very different angle, don't you? You come at it from a keyword point of view. So how do you choose a blogging title?
No, I'm back. Can you still see me?
No, we've got you. We've lost Jess. She'll come back in a sec. Carry on.
No. So I'd say I approach it more from a marketing perspective than a keyword perspective, to begin with, at least. So I think it's very much about what your objectives are as a business, what your resources are. Because if you're like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example. If you're Tesco, a leading brand, whatever it will be, then that's because there's a Tesco bag there. If you're a leading brand and you have huge marketing budgets and all the rest of it, then you're probably going to create what content that's kind of awareness based. But I'd probably for most businesses, especially most small businesses, I take them right back to the beginning, take them to the buyer journey, and start working out, do a content audit, start working out what content they've got and what content they need in order to get a sale through their website or whatever it could be. All websites start off with decision phase content. And then I always suggest working backwards. So go back to consideration phase next and do as much of that type of content as you can. Because what you'll find is that most businesses and most marketers, they write the easy stuff. So they write all the awareness phase content first. And primarily, that's all they ever write.
People also, I find, will write the decision phase content. So they'll write the, why are we great? Why we've just got this new award and this new accreditation, and we're the best at this because we're the cheapest or the best quality. Again, those are the bits that they find really easy because it's about them as a company, don't they? So it is, sometimes you're absolutely right. Those kind of top of the funnel and middle of the funnel blogs are the harder ones to write for clients, aren't they?
I think top of the funnel are the easy ones. You're right. Most websites, most businesses can write about themselves. So most businesses can write a services page or a product page on a website to a greater or lesser extent. It should convert if it covers all the features and benefits of the product and service. But And most businesses can write awareness stuff, so they can write about the things that are happening in their industry. They can write about, I don't know, the problems that their customers might experience. But most businesses forget, really, as much as anything, to write about write content that really provides somebody who's considering their product with or considering something that fixes that deals with the problem that they've got. How to select their product, or that their product or their type of product or service is the one to go for.
I think one thing that I would always say is it's the so what, and this is the thing that I think businesses struggle with. So, for example, we had a client recently, or we have a client, and they were looking at the pain points as to why people would use them. They're an IT supplier, and they were saying that one of the pain points was that they would have a hodgepodge of old computers that their staff were working on all over the place. And we would say, well, actually, you've got to go one step further, because if that hodgepodge of old computers is working perfectly well, it might be a bit slow, it might not be very proficient, but if it's not broken, it's not a problem to the end, to the business owner. So it's always asking yourself the so what. That is only going to become a pain point at the point that one of those machines breaks down, and then everything else has a knock-on effect, and then they're in a right pickle. So I think if I was advising, your average small to medium business owner what to blog about, is ask yourself the so what. Look at the pain points, but the so what. You've got the best product. Well, so what? What does that mean to your end customers? How is that going to be of benefit to them? You're the cheapest. Well, so what? And I think that's one thing.
It's always that added value question, isn't it? It's like, what am I giving this customer that they don't already have? Yes. And that's something that I always kind of go back to when I'm writing content for clients. It's, well, if someone reads this, are they actually going to gain anything from it? Or is it just a nice little bit of 5 minutes to pass the time? So that's the thing with the blog. You always need to give something that they've not already got already.
Yeah. I think that's crucial. You have said it a couple of times, but I think we can't reiterate that point enough. That adding value is the key thing. That's what a blog needs to do. You're not just producing content for the sake of having something nice to write on your website. Are you actually helping your end user either make a decision? And the decision might be you're not the right business, or your product isn't right for them. But if you've been helpful, that's kind of aided the buyer journey and the process, and they will come back. People will come back. Just one quick question before I go to my final questions. What do you think on frequency? Is there any general rule of thumb as to how often people should be blogging? And Jess, I'm going to ask you first again.
You know what? This is like a constant thing for me, because I have clients at the moment, or should I say we have clients at the moment, where some of them want 3 blogs a week, and then I have clients who want 1 blog a week, or I have someone who has 2 blogs a month, or it completely, but I think it depends on the company. It depends what you've got to say, because again, if you've got stuff to say and they all add value, then that's fine. But if you're just putting out a blog a week and they're not doing anything, and they're just there for argument's sake, really, then frequency is a tough one. I think as long as your blogs are adding value, then you're fine. If you put out a blog that is fantastic and the next 3 have just not given anything to the customer, then I think that time could be spent elsewhere, or on something, or finding something that would add value for the next blog.
And I always say as well, people have got to be realistic. If you are just a small business owner, if you can't commit, and realistically you can't commit to doing a blog a week, then don't. Go with a frequency that you are actually going to manage, because it's better to have a consistently good blog than to be putting up 5 blogs a week for the first week, and then you don't put any up, and then you do 3 for the next blog. So consistency is key as well. Simon Dalley, and I want a very quick answer here, else you're going to get told off. What do you have to say on the subject of frequency?
Well, I call it velocity for one thing, but anyway.
All right.
So it depends is the answer, isn't it? So it depends on what your competitors are doing. It depends on what your objectives are. It depends on the type of business that you are. There's some businesses that I've worked for have to provide a level of news content, almost industry level news content, and they could be they could be putting that news content out several times a day, because that's the type of service that they are expected to offer to their users. I definitely think that velocity is something that needs to be considered as a ranking factor. I've always believed that, and recently when we stepped it up to 3 blogs a week on GrowTraffic, it was very noticeable about how often it was noticeable, the ranking increase that we got, the traffic increase, should I say, that we got, but also the velocity that the spider was coming back to the website. Googlebot was coming back, and that's one of the things about frequency is the more you blog, the more Google will recognize that you're going to have new content on the website, more it'll come back, the more chance you've got to kind of be in the index and rank.
So there is a general rule of thumb, you know, if you can blog more, then try. The more you do it, the faster you will see the results that you're looking for. But Jess is absolutely right. You know, don't just churn out content for the sake of churning it out, because Google is really shit hot on that now, and is getting more so. So you could, you know, you could end up damaging yourself just by churning out rubbish.
Yeah.
If you churn out content and you're not, you know, after a small period of time, after a few months of doing it, you're not seeing a kind of traffic increase, I'd suggest that the content that you're putting on is wrong for a start. It's you know, it's misaligned, and you need to go right back to your strategy and you know, create a new plan, see what you're doing. But there's diminishing returns, aren't there? So no business can justify just keep doing more of the same thing forever.
Yeah, I'm going to move us on because time is marching away. My 2 final questions that I always finish every session on. My first one is, if a small to medium business owner came to you today and they said, I want help, where would you be sending them to go? Where would you be sending them to go? That's not proper English, is it? That's not a dead good sentence. Where would you be sending them? Have you got any apps, resources, websites, businesses that would be able to help them, Jess?
Well, firstly, the lovely Sarah, our office manager from Asia, has put one of our websites on that we use when we're writing content, and that's answerthepublic.com. And that I use that a lot when we're writing content. It's finding out, basically you can type in the kind of keywords and you find out what questions people are specifically asking, so you can answer them within your blog, and they are so helpful because you've literally got your content right there for you.
Yeah, sometimes I do, you know, Answer the Public as well. You can do up to 2 free searches a day still if you've not got a paid account. So it, you know, it's completely free for most people. But sometimes you can get like 50 questions that people are asking. You can have content for a year with that. From just
I don't know if you guys have seen, but on Moz now, on the free tool even, they've integrated with Answer the Public.
Have they? Oh, that's interesting.
One of those. And they have a relevancy score to your website, so they produce a list of highly relevant keywords.
Is that with free Moz, or is that the paid Moz?
The free Moz has that on there now.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to
really good.
Keep Jess. Any other resources?
Us. Plug AGM here again. Speak to an agency, because people think agencies are scary, especially when you're a small to medium business. You think agencies cost the world. But that's not the case. Where, you know, I know we do, I know you do as well. You cater to the smaller business as well. Particularly over lockdown, we've really focused on helping businesses get through lockdown and come out of the other side. And obviously, we're still in it at the moment.
No, but you're absolutely right. You know that I've been on your aggressive growth marketing on your website and your Facebook page as well. You have so many free resources, and sometimes a small business owner, you might just need somebody to help you do your content calendar, and then you can go off and do it. You can write your blog. You just need that little bit of strategy. So yeah, absolutely. Speak to an agency. It's nowhere near as expensive.
We're not scary. We're very nice.
No, you're not scary. You're very nice.
Despite the aggressive name.
Simon, Dalley, very quickly, any apps or resources or websites besides Moz?
There's loads of stuff out there. Like say, obviously HubSpot is a great resource there.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say, go to GrowTraffic and download Rachel's content calendar, which I'm looking forward to the next iteration coming out very soon. Do a bit of research for that, because that's one of the most comprehensive content calendars out there, with all the kind of core dates in the year that you can craft content around.
Yeah, that's it. It's got all the calendar dates in it, so you can then take your blogging titles that you want and schedule them in around it. So yeah, I need to do 2021s. That's always a fun job. I know, it's scary, isn't it? Right, anyway, final top tip. Jess, if you had one top tip for business owners who wanted to start blogging, what would it be?
Listen to your audience, go in the Facebook groups, go on social media, go in the forums and find out what they're talking about. And that you've got your content there, that you already know what your audience is talking about, and be a part of that conversation. That's probably one of my top tips.
Yeah, brilliant. Simon Dalley, top tip?
Just start doing it and improve it as you go along. Don't be scared of it. Get going.
Yeah, that actually, I was going to say the same thing. Like, don't procrastinate.
Say something else if you want.
I am going to say something else. Thank you. Instead, I will say, just if you absolutely, genuinely hate the thought of sitting down and writing 1,000 words, find a different way to do it. I say, create a vlog, get somebody else, get an agency or your teenage child or whatever to write it. Take videos and do take pictures and do a picture blog, like a gallery instead. There are ways of producing blog content that will help you in this content marketing process that don't have to be sitting down and writing 1,000 words. So find a way that suits you. That's it. Thank you so much to both of you for joining me, Jess especially.
Thank you.
Go on the comments at the end and put down the details if anyone wants to contact you to ask you a question or wants to get in touch with you at Aggressive Growth Marketing. Put your contact details in there. Also, if you are watching this back afterwards, we still monitor the chat, so please feel free to ask us any questions you need to. That's it. Thank you, my guests. Thank you very much. I feel like Michael Parkinson. That's it.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks, Jan.